Mike Brown announced as the head coach. Clarkson and Yabusele announced, and Jordan Clarkson joins the squad. Great stream coming up tonight. Let's break it all down with the statements made by Leon Rose, James Dolan, and the statements made on the signings of Yabusele and Clarkson. We have some updates on Summer League kicking off this weekend as the Summer League roster has been officially announced as well. We're going to give you an update as well on what lies ahead this season for one of the young fellas on the team. And let's break it down. Bounce off the chat tonight. Welcome in, everyone. Great to have you with us. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. You've got the Nick Streets buzzing. And at last, we have the official announcements as free agency been well underway and the Knicks been busy. We have our coach officially announced. We're going to go through the statements, and obviously we're feeling good about it because our guys have been made official. The new look squad, the Knicks are second favorites in a lot of betting outlets to take out the NBA championship on the back of a lot of these moves, man. Yabusele swinging the things in Knicks' favor in the East. Jordan Clarkson going to be like a six-man, could play with the starters as well. The Knicks have had an outstanding offseason so far, but there's more moves to come. As the move's been officially made, Yabusele has taken that discount, ladies and gentlemen, and the New York Knicks can add one more veteran and one more young guy to the squad. We'll talk about who that young guy is going to be. And like I said, I'm going to give you an update on what lies ahead this season for one of the young fellas. Biggest name to look out for in the buyout markets right now. We'll talk about that tonight. Marcus Smart. The Knicks have had interest in him over the years, and looks like, you know, rival teams are now monitoring his fate in DC as Washington might waive him and buy him out. So the Knicks have been looking for ball handlers. They've kicked the tires on Russ, Ben Simmons, Dante Exum. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and I think the New York Knicks will be looking to add some ball handling. If Marcus Smart gets bought out, he could join the likes of Malcolm Brogdon, you know, to possibly be an option for the squad to bring in as that veteran guard. Down the stretch of the season, experience plays a major factor, and obviously Bradley Beal is now available, but there's been no official links to the New York Knicks. Bradley Beal does look like he's probably going to go to LA, the Clippers, maybe the Heat. We'll find out more as we go. But we've got the official statements. Jordan Clarkson, man. He is going to officially rep 00, man. As he put up on his Instagram story, welcome in JC to the squad. Great to have you with us. As everyone's piling through the building. We've got Johnny, Nelly, Nell, T, what's up, Chris? The Summer League squad has been officially announced as well, guys, and a couple of surprises, maybe not. We've got Diawara, our draft pick, officially joins. He's in New York right now. We've got Huck Porty, obviously returning for his second year. We've got James Nagy, the stash center, come over to make a name for himself right now. We've got Lance Ware, Luka Skuka, we've got Jordan and Devon Grant, Jaden Campbell, Dink Pate, Biwali Bales, the point guard, Jamal Bay, Anton Watson, who's been on the two-way. We've got Udai Baba, the Japanese veteran. Beauchamp is officially joining the squad for Summer League 2. Tyler Kolek, McCullough Jr., and Pacome Pac Daddy right now. So stacked. And, of course, head coached by Jordan Brink, the Knicks assistant, and the guy that's been on the sidelines last season, the video coordinator as well. So I'm hyped, guys. This weekend, California Classic Summer League's kicked off already, but Vegas Summer League will kick off on the 10th. The Knicks kick off on the 11th against Detroit. What do y'all think about the squad? I see the excitement. Who are you most looking forward to? I'm kind of really glad that Beauchamp is still, is going to join us for Summer League. I wasn't really sure about that, so I was kind of waiting, to see how that would play out. But obviously, Jamal Bay, cool to see him there as well. Barber. We've got a couple of veterans who fill out the Summer League squad and maybe help these guys push on to win that chip. Top of the show, man. Let's get into the update for y'all. So, obviously, with the signing of Yabusele, Clarkson, that takes the squad to officially 12. 12 players now under contract, right? We have one more spot for a full veteran guy. It don't matter how many years now. Only 2.2 million counts against the cap. So you could pay a veteran's minimum guy, regardless of how many years experience they've had. They'll fit under the second apron. So the Knicks can add one more vet, whether it be Marcus Smart, Brogdon. We're going to talk about all of that tonight. But Kevin McCullough, possibly another young fella, will fill out the 14-man roster right now, right? I'm expecting it to be Kevin McCullough, as I'll talk about right now. But Marajon Beauchamp won't be eligible for that spot. He could be eligible for one of the veteran spots, but I do think they're going to go more ball handler and that route. Right. So with that said, it's expected, from what I heard, it's expected Mohamed Diawara, the Knicks draft pick, the 51st selection out of the draft, it's expected that he is going to spend the upcoming season back in France with his club Cholet and developing, continuing to play his minutes. And I think it's really important that he gets that development, right? So it's looking like Mohamed Diawara are going to be spending the upcoming season over in France, but he is with the Summer League squad, so have no fear. We will get a good look at Diawara, but he is currently more of a draft and stash, in the eyes of the New York Knicks organization, right? So that could open the door for Marajon Beauchamp, Dink Pate, and James Nagy to round out one of the three two-ways. Possibly James Nagy gets one of the full roster spots if Kevin McCullough isn't that guy. But the expectation is, I think, that Kevin McCullough is going to be that guy right now. Things are still fluid because Summer League hasn't played out yet. Guys could still impress and things could change. But yeah, what do y'all think with this current setup? Guys, McCullough Jr., I think, was with the squad last season. He's an older prospect, 24 years old now. And I'd be comfortable if he took that rookie spot, the younger rookie exception spot. He hasn't been inked to an official rookie deal yet, so he is eligible, as well as Diawara or Nagy. But like I said, Diawara expected to spend the season overseas, right? He put out on his Instagram this just not long ago. Mohamed Diawara basically put the hint out there that he is going to return back to Cholet, the French club in the top French division, and continue to get that development in as well. But obviously we do have Beauchamp, Anton Watson, Dink Pate, and James Nagy. That could be on the two ways. I think Beauchamp is a guy that's, it's getting a bit old. He's getting a bit older now, so I don't know if he's fully eligible for another year of another two-way. If not, they'll fill it with Anton Watson, possibly McCullough, if Nagy is the guy. But like I heard, Kevin McCullough is the favorite to get that rookie small regular deal, guys. And of course, we've got Landry Shamet there, man. We're waiting to find out if Landry is going to be the guy that gets that shot. But I don't know, man. I feel like the Knicks are really heavily looking at ball handling point guards, with Marcus Smart being the latest guy linked to a buyout. I think that is serious. I think the Knicks have had interest in Brogdon and Marcus Smart, and I think that would be a great look. Maybe it's a sign that they're not fully sold on Tyler Kolek yet, but it just helps to have that extra insurance, right? Looks like MSG has also done an off-season special. Monica McNutt, Bill Pedo. We've got to check that out too, and I missed that one, so let us know if you check that out. But yeah, looks like Kevin Love has also been bought out, and looking like, there's some links to the New York Knicks. Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press has officially guessed that Kevin Love could be headed to the New York Knicks via a buyout, but I don't see it. He's speculating, and I think the Knicks are looking for more ball handling. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think that Kevin Love would be a solid addition to the squad? Big Dave, salute. Says, I'm excited to see a healthy McCullers Jr. I think he can be that. He has the talent to be successful. And Johnny says, big yes to Kevin McCullough. Cousin Kevin McCullough. Nelly says McCullough Jr. is a dog. Yep. So, yeah, get your questions in, guys. This is your chat, man, your stream. You got the streets buzzing, and we shout you guys out, as always. David says Marcus Smart would be a great pickup. Yeah, man, I think he could be that finishing piece, man, not going to lie. Adds that experience and a great locker room guy, and he's a dog. Chris says, so TT, how many spots are open total? 5? 3 two-ways and 2 other spots. Yeah, basically, Chris. Basically, the Knicks have got 2 main roster spots to fill and 3 of the two-ways. But basically, what I'm telling you, from what I heard, is the plan is for Mohamed Diawara, the French 51st pick in the draft this year. The expectation is that he'll stay in France for another year. I think he suggested that on his Instagram as well. So that backs up what I heard. And look, things could change, but Mohamed Diawara needs a lot more development. And I think, spending the year in New York might not be the best for his development. Continue to play pro ball overseas and then maybe come over next year. But things are crowded right now with Beauchamp, Anton Watson, Dink Pate, and Najee and McCullough vying for 4 spots. And so I do think, Kevin McCullough, it could be health dependent to see how he gets through Summer League. But I think we definitely got one more veteran spot to fill out. I don't think it's going to be Westbrook chaos. I think Westbrook's probably going to stay out west. But I think it's going to be dependent on this veteran's going to want minutes. They're going to want a role. And so that's where it comes into, like, with Kolek, it's like, we like you, Kolek, but we can't quite promise you minutes right now. And so with the veteran and the veteran spot open, if we look at another point guard, we can kind of promise them minutes because Clarkson and Deuce McBride, they're not true playmakers, and so I think the New York Knicks will be looking at, your Ben Simmons, Brogdons, and obviously Marcus Smarts. We also were deep in conversations with Dante Exum. And I think he was a really high choice of the Knicks because he could guard 1 through 4 and be a point guard as well. But Dante Exum decided to go back to Dallas, from what I heard. Familiarity with the coaching staff and familiarity with the system in Dallas led him to go back there as well. But the Knicks were in talks with Dante Exum. So that definitely tells y'all that we're looking at the names and guys that can ball handle, play make, and get those assists up, and just be more experienced down the stretch of the season, right? What does that mean for Kolek? I mean, I think Kolek is going to get opportunities, starting Summer League. I think that's his chance to show how ready he's going to be. And I think if he comes out and absolutely balls out, that's going to be great for him, great for the New York Knicks, either way. Healthy competition. Competition is great, either way. But also bring in another playmaker, it is going to ease the burden of Jalen Brunson, and it can allow that, Clarkson and Deuce McBride to play the roles that I think that they're best at. They're best at filling it up and playing off ball as well, catch and shoot, and being secondary playmakers as well, guys. As we broke down recently, Coach Mike Brown is, high on passes per game, and assist percentage is way up over a Tibbs offense. And so we are going to be moving the ball a lot more, quicker in transition, and we need some good playmakers on the squad. Nelly Nell also agrees Smart fits the New York grit DNA. I hope we can make it happen, man. He shoots to the top of my list, for real. Big Dave says, I'm a no to Love. We need a backup point. I agree, fam. I think Tim Reynolds was speculating with that one. But I think the Knicks and Love have had mutual interest in the past. I think he's trying to connect the dots right now. But until someone closer to the Knicks beat can shed some more light on that, I don't think Kevin Love would come to the New York Knicks, especially with the Yabusele signing. Yeah, I do think Dink Pate's going to get one of the two ways. Just based on development and talent, I think he'd be perfect for that. And I do think McCullough will actually land a roster spot. Fam. Glenn's in the house. What's good, buzzer? Bren. I'll hit on the Simmons one next. But Glenn says, CT, what's up? Is there any guards who will take the vet min to sign with us? I think it's going to come down to what kind of role can we sell them on, fam. And I think there is one for an experienced guard. Maybe Huck Porty kind of slides to the 11th man, and then we can slide in another point guard next to Clarkson and Deuce. But I do think it's going to come down to role and minutes. Don't forget, there's still some teams out there with some cap space too. But the spots in the league, they're drying up right now. You do have CP3 that's got to choose his destination right now. You have Al Horford still, deciding whether or not to stay in the league or retire. Bradley Beal's going to choose a destination as well. And we're going to talk about the available names too. There's still Gary Payton II. There's still Markelle Fultz. There's still, Corey Joseph. Lonnie Walker's out there as well. Our guy DeLon Wright is still out there. Can we get some love for DeLon Wright? I think he would be a solid, candidate to bring back. He's not going to, whine over minutes. He's going to come in and be ready. He's going to be able to defend as well. But there's some better names I think available right now. You got to explore those options, Glenn. So I'm going to say Marcus Smart is our lead target right now. Ben Simmons has been in discussions with the Knicks, but he's, again, deciding where to go. The Knicks do have interest in Ben Simmons. Like Bren says, Simmons ticks playmaking, defense. He doesn't need to score, and great for a team like ours, full of scorers right now. Agree, Bren. Putting aside some of the recent history with Ben Simmons and him trying to, repair his value around the league, but he did stay in the league last year. He gave some value to the Clips. I just think with Simmons, like you said, we don't need him to score. He can play make still. That's something that he hasn't lost. Defense at 6'10", could guard multiple positions. I think he would fit alongside Deuce McBride and Clarkson. It's just going to come down to, I've got to say this carefully, but yeah, Ben Simmons does have certain requirements from his camp. He does come with certain requirements. He's more of a higher maintenance kind of guy, which, some people is fine with. In terms of, he does like to choose carefully where he's going. Obviously, he wants to stick in the league. He's at an important time in his career right now. I think the Knicks would have to assure him of a role and that he's comfortable with. But I can see that there is a role here. Whether it's 15 minutes, he might be looking for 25 minutes, 20 minutes a night. Maybe LA teams are going to promise him a larger role. But I could see a fit, most definitely. Sharp Hours salute. What's good? Ben says Bradley Beal. I think Beal would be a nice upgrade. I think we do have some great shot makers. You can never have enough. but I do think the team is looking a little bit more towards some playmaking. I do think Bradley Beal might be able to get a little bit more than the minimum, though. That could be a big difference. I think Bradley Beal could find a team with a little bit more cap space. There are some teams out there, but yeah, I'm not thinking Bradley Beal is a major candidate. We'll see how that plays out. On the announcement front, we're going to get through some quotes from the New York Knicks, Leon Rose, James Dolan. No word on the press conference yet, so I don't yet know what's up with the press conference. We'll cover it into the week, but we know that the Knicks kick off Summer League on Saturday. Mike Brown will be in attendance in Vegas. He'll be watching our young New York Knicks closely to see, first impressions can count. Maybe these guys can really impress. I think Tyler Kolek is going to have a huge Summer League. I think Pacome Dardier is going to surprise some people as well. Those guys were pretty good towards the end of the G League season. Obviously, the Knicks went deep into the playoffs. I think they're going to come into Summer League and really look to light it up, right? And then, of course, some of the new faces, James Nagy, Dink Pate, and Diawara is still going to be with us for Summer League, although the expectation is that he goes back to France for the rest of the year and continues to play professionally with Cholet, his team, and develop and get some meaningful minutes. Fred Katz, man, went on NBA radio to talk about what got Mike Brown the job. And the first thing, people mention about Mike Brown is his attention to detail. So Mike Brown came in, man, with a very precise presentation and a very precise message. So structured, organized, came in with a message, and definitely won the job over his fellow candidates. And so Mike Brown, welcome in, salute, congrats. Look forward to seeing what he brings to the table. But it's not just his experience. So he won the job, fair and square. People can slice it however they want to slice it, but Mike Brown brings the experience and he won the job. At the end of the day, most people with the deepest resume get the job. And Mike Brown's here now, and he's going to be there in Vegas, like I said, and he has a clear plan. So I like that. I like to hear that. Came in with the presentation, showed the Knicks front office what he wants to achieve with Brunson and Cat and the wings. And also, he probably, showed them how he can integrate some of the younger guys, throughout the regular season. He's great at development, got Domantas Sabonis playing at an all-star level. He got Malik Monk, 6-man, and got him paid as well. So, he could share on those experiences with, the rest of our guys out here. D Rose, just a quick word on Thibodeau, and we'll get to the next segment. At NASCAR, Chicago, man, Derek Rose was interviewed and at a press conference. He said Tibbs is in good spirits, man, and he's not mad. Basically, after getting paid out $30 million, D Rose says I'm locked in with Tibbs till the end. But the Knicks still have Jalen Brunson, who's going to ball out, and so it's a win-win right now. So those are the quotes from Derek Rose at a NASCAR event. Reached out to Tibbs recently. Tibbs is in good spirits. Can't be mad after getting paid out $30 million. The Knicks got some ballers and are moving ahead. It's a win-win situation right now. Nelly says McCullough will shine the most. Yeah, Sharp Hours, McCullough, yep, can be signing that rookie contract. Yeah, that's my expectation. My expectation is Kevin McCullough will get the official roster spot with one more veteran. It's probably not going to be Landry, if I'm making a guess right now. I think they're going to go for another point guard. But Landry is still on the radar. We'll see how the rest of free agency plays out. Mohamed Diawara will go back to France, and we'll have Nagy, Dink Pate, either Beauchamp, maybe Anton Watson. Some of these guys are still playing for that spot. I think Summer League's going to be on fire, no doubt. I've said this before, but we're actually the deepest team veteran-wise in most of my fandom, going back since the 90s. Maybe the 2013 Knicks was quite stacked with vets. But we're also the deepest team in terms of young talent at the same time. How crazy is that, guys, We've got an amazing Summer League squad with a lot of guys actually on the real squad. But we're deep with the veterans as well, So let's get to the official statements, right? As we look at this, we go back a quick trip down memory lane, man. I think Jordan Clarkson is going to be the Knicks' best bucket off the bench since Derrick Rose. Man, look at these images, man, on 3 different teams each. Clarkson from Cleveland, from LA to Cleveland and then to Utah, where he spent the last several years balling out. Going to be on a much better team. And Derrick Rose, man, from Chicago to Minnesota to Detroit, obviously to the New York Knicks. And I think, we're going to be very, very pleased with the work that Jordan Clarkson is going to bring, man. 4 assists to 2 turnover ratio. Can get downhill, can set guys up. I think you'll find the big men for the lob. I think he will get to the foul line as well. We need that a lot more, guys. Getting to the foul line. I want to start with Jordan Clarkson first because the official statement's coming through. The signing is official. People were stressing out yesterday. What's up with Jordan Clarkson? It was the official buyout that went through as a transaction. And he's officially on the squad. Going to be wearing 00, fam. Agent 00. Now, I think he's going to be the 4th Knick player to wear a 00. The 3rd or 4th player. And I do think that Jordan Clarkson is going to look a lot better in a Knicks jersey. Winning situation. Strong veterans around him. Been wanting this situation for a while. The Mecca, the crowd, the spotlight. I think, deserving stage for his talents. And I think he's going to be amazing. Hopefully it's more than a 1-year relationship. 1-year veteran minimum. I think if he balls out, the Knicks could have a little bit more, space to sign him to a longer term deal with some salaries coming off the books after the season. We'll see how it plays out. What are your guys' hopes for Jordan Clarkson this season? Right? I mean, how good was the Derrick Rose thing, man? It just got me reminiscing, seeing those graphics, with Derrick Rose and Jordan Clarkson, guarding each other, fam. And just what the possibilities could be, man. From the We Here season, when Derrick Rose, carried us to the 4th seed as kind of the 5th starter, 6th man, ended up coming into the starting lineup. We found out that he had so much left in the tank, man. When Derrick Rose left Detroit, there was a lot of criticism. There were people saying, what are the Knicks doing? Why was Tibbs so adamant to get Derrick back? And we saw how much he had left in the tank, man. He was into his 30s, exactly like Jordan Clarkson. But it just goes to show a rejuvenated situation, in a situation that where you're winning. They say winning cures all. And we did hear that he had plantar fascia last season, only played 37 games. But Utah were cool with him, slow to return because they wanted to lose games. Jordan Clarkson is a winning player, is a bucket off the bench and loves to compete. It's hard to tell a competitor not to compete. They want to compete, they want to win. And he didn't even mull the situation, man. He could have dragged this out in free agency. Look at Al Horford right now, Bradley Beal and that. They're taking their sweet time to choose where they want to go. But no, Jordan Clarkson said, vet minimum, get me to New York. I want to be there and I want to win. And there's a clear role right now. So shout out to the front office for also, getting that deal over the line, man. Like I said, he could have dragged it out. He could have tried to get more than the minimum, but obviously the buyout does help with that situation. So with some official statements, man, let's get it. We have the official statements from Leon Rose on the Mike Brown coaching hire. After a thorough and extensive searching process, we are pleased to announce Mike Brown as the head coach of the New York Knicks. Mike has coached on the biggest stages of our sport and brings championship pedigree to our organization. His experience leading the bench during the NBA Finals, winning 4 titles as an assistant coach, and his ability to grow and develop players will help us as we aim to bring a championship to New York for our fans. James Dolan. I would like to welcome Mike Brown to New York and the Knicks organization. Leon and our staff ran a thorough and thoughtful process that led our organization to Mike. I'm pleased to see him on the sideline for us next season. So he gets the seal of approval from James Dolan, whose presence is growing right now, but Dolan's always on the sidelines. The stakes are high right now. James Dolan knows that, understands that, and was really for this appointment. James Dolan met Mike Brown. The two got along very well. James obviously knows his, experience and gets the seal of approval for the two head honchos, Leon Rose and James Dolan. Fam. So welcome in Mike Brown. It's official. Everyone is official right now. Now, Yabusele, let's talk about the second signing, ladies and gentlemen. Gershon Yabusele, as I said at the top of the show, has helped swing the odds of the New York Knicks to being second favorites for the NBA championship, right? It was a huge signing. He talked about, Philly lowballing him, only offering less than $2 million or $2 million, right? And the Knicks get a steal for the 5.7 taxpayer mid-level exception. Except, guess what? It's not the full exception, as Gershon Yabusele has taken a discount, ladies and gentlemen, to help us add another veteran, right? So shout out to Brock Aller and the front office and Gershon's camp for making it happen right now. We can make our squad even deeper. And he's already talking like a New York Knick. We don't know what official number he's going to wear yet. Clarkson's going to wear the 00. And Yabusele, though, is going to come in and add some grit, physicality, toughness. People suggest that he has a game similar to an Anthony Mason. I think Mason's one of one with respect, but rest in peace and, late great Anthony Mason, the legend. But yeah, Gershon Yabusele, I could see some similarities. As we roll the highlight tape, the guy likes contact, man. He can finish above the rim, can shoot the 3 as well. He's adding points production. Not known as a defender, though, but you just appreciate the level of physicality that he plays with. Is coming in back from overseas after 1 year in the NBA. Is hungry. He's hungry to prove it. And like I said with Clarkson, man, I could see this as more than a 1 year relationship. Hopefully longer, man. I do think that with Yabusele's player option, I think that was probably the sweetener to get the deal over the line. I think he was probably hoping to get paid a little bit more than the $5 million deal. But, we would have said, hey, player option, let's see how it goes. After 1 year, the Knicks will be flexible. We haven't done the extensions of Mitchell Robinson or Mikal Bridges yet. If Yabusele balls out, man, you gotta bring him back, and you gotta make sure that this is a longer term partnership with Yabusele, and I'm expecting him to have an amazing season. He's built for New York, I think. What do y'all think? Lou Boogie says it, taking a $500,000 discount. That's our guy, Yabusele. Shout out to him, in the front office and the way we move right now. We're getting guys to take vet minimums from a buyout. We're getting guys to take slightly less than the taxpayer mid-level than what they're worth. But thank you to Philly as well. Lowballing their guy, man. Thank you to Philly for bringing him back into the league from overseas. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. But Philly, thank you for lowballing Yabu. And now he's going to come in with a chip to, really stick it in. Not that I think that Philly's really a threat anyway next season too. Michael Drake, salute. Gary Payton II is a name. Susan, yeah, the Knicks are official right now. Georgie Ortiz, salute. Did you see the new center the Knicks added? Lance Ware. Yeah, so we're talking about it tonight, the Summer League squad, as I bring up, fam. Let's pull this one up. Lance Ware, yep. Coming into Vegas Summer League. I'm excited, man. I like to see Jamal Bay. I want to see Dink Pate. Devon Grant is an interesting one as well. Diawara, still very excited to see what he looks like. Things can change, but the plan is for Diawara to go back to France for the upcoming season, guys. That's going to get him some development minutes in the Pro League over there. Continue to develop and keep the Knicks books a bit more fluid. We do like Marjan Beauchamp, so we'll see how that plays out. Yeah, good looks. Michael Drake wants to bring Mitch back for 4 for $80. If we can get Mitch for less than $20 million, I think the Knicks are definitely in discussions. I think they're going to run it into the season, Michael, and see, how it looks, see how it plays out. I think Mitchell Robinson should be a lock to start, in my opinion. I don't want to see Cat start at the 5. That's my personal outlook. And I would love to know what you guys think. People are worried about the 5-out lineups and not getting the true floor spacing with Mitch out there. However, I do think that defense is important around Brunson and Cat, and having a nice, foundation of defense around those guys as well. And I think we can work from that. But Mitchell Robinson, man, he's the best rebounder in the league. Shot blocker extraordinaire. Can come out on the perimeter as well. Is switchable. Now's the time, and you are going to increase Mitch's value as well. That could be a part of the negotiations. The Knicks might be thinking, hey, if we start Mitch, his value is going to go up, and we might have to pay him more via the extension. So that could be something to look out for as well. Rye says, free Maxi, free Grimes. Susan says, Knicks are the French connection this upcoming season. We've got KNYT Hoops reposting the stream. Appreciate y'all. Always great to have you with us, supporting the channel. Guys, smash that like button. It really helps us out. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Yuri Ark, been representing and got the streets buzzing. Appreciate y'all for the super chat contribution. Yuri Ark says, shout out to Yaba and Jordan. We do have some dogs, and our Summer League squad is full of dogs. I thank Tibbs for rebuilding our culture. He did us good. He did us good right now, man. Yeah, I just want to shout out you, and I want to shout out the front office from top to bottom, because I was really deep thinking about this the other night, man. I'm thinking, like, what got me thinking was shout out to the Bill Simmons pod. They dropped a classic pod with Ryan Russillo yesterday on the 5 bleakest situations in the NBA out east and west. The top 5 bleakest situations, and man, it was really eye-opening just thinking about that situation and listening to their conversation about who are the worst situations in the league. They talked about Brooklyn, they talked about Chicago and their ownership. They talked about, Washington and the Toronto Raptors with Masai Ujiri kind of parting ways, and how difficult their situations are with their roster to get out of the mud. And it really got me thinking. It got me thinking how the New York Knicks got to where we are right now. Because we were once in the mud, We were in that mud and we were stuck for a long, long time. And we got out the mud. And it started with, Kevin Durant and Kyrie, choosing to go to Brooklyn. And we started to make some smart decisions. We signed Julius Randle for cap space. We sent Kristaps Porzingis away to make a refresh, clear the decks. Obviously, Kevin Durant didn't come, and we started to work from the ground up, and we built foundation upon foundation. And then we got Jalen Brunson via free agency. We drafted RJ Barrett, a solid young man that, helped build the foundations, competitiveness. And then we really started to move and groove by, building Quickly's value up, sending him and RJ Barrett out to get a stud like OG Anunoby, block by block. We kept Mitchell Robinson around with Deuce McBride on a really team-friendly deal. We added Jalen Brunson, a burgeoning star. And then we started to really, put the icing on the cake. We turned Julius Randle's free agency into Karl Anthony Towns, and then we strike while the iron was hot, and decided, hey, now's the time to go in, and while the cap situation allows us to add another major salary, because if you wait, that's not possible. Some people are like, why did the Knicks give up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges? A lot of things that go into that decision was timing. Because next year, you're a second apron team. So it's very hard to bring in a Mikal Bridges when you're a second apron team. So timing is key. And understanding that the pieces were in place with Brunson, OG, Cat, and then you can get Mikal Bridges on your team to make sure that you're a contender and solidify that starting 5 with Josh Hart. The Knicks went in, and credit to the front office for, recognizing that the time was now. And we made it all happen, man, from the ground up. Just like I said, man, to go revisionist history on y'all real quick, but I had to speak on it because where we were to where we are now, man, it happened real quick. And it was a series of very, very smart moves. And timing was, really key right now. And now we add, the 7th man, the 8th man. We have a really deep bench right now with a deep starting 5. And we are legitimate championship contenders right now. So get excited, fam. You have every reason to be really, really excited right now with this squad. You see Halliburton, you see the Celtics out. They're stuck in second apron situations. Indiana, too scared to pay the tax with Miles Turner as well. The East is super wide open right now. Yep, Clarkson coming in as the 6th man. Wouldn't it be cool if he was to win another 6th Man of the Year award, man? That would be great for us, great for his legacy. Susan says it took a while for the Knicks to get where they are right now, but it was level by level. Shout out, cap expert Brock Aller with Leon Rose and some smart moves. It worked out for a lot of players. RJ and Quickly got the bag. We sent them to a different situation. Julius Randle found a contender as well. He got paid. Things have really worked out. Buzzer Beater says, CT, are you comfortable with Deuce as our backup point guard? He's not a playmaker. I'm comfortable with Deuce based on experiences that he's coming up, and he's proven that, he can play, in the most meaningful games. But I would like us to add another playmaker, Buzzer. I would love us to add one more playmaker, fam. Go get me a Marcus Smart. Malcolm Brogdon. Some other names, DeLon Wright. If we do want to bring back him, I'll be okay with that. But I do think we need one more safe pair of hands, fam, to run that point. I mean, Tyrese Proctor was my guy. He fell within one pick of the New York Knicks. But now I get it. The Knicks maybe knew that maybe they could get Jordan Clarkson. Maybe they knew one of these guys is going to be available on the buyout. But we ended up selecting Mo Diawara, which does look like it's going to be a draft and stash. As I say, it's expected that he will remain in France for the year. But look, yeah, Tyler Kolek in Summer League can be that guy. I'm not going to sell Tyler short because I think he's just got to show he can improve defensively. I think the playmaking is there. I think it can be good enough. I think he's absolutely a lock for a backup role, backup point guard role in the NBA for many years. I think Tyler Kolek will be in the league for a long time. Sold on his talents. I think he's just got to show that he can, be a lot stronger on the defensive end, get in that weight room, develop more strength, and obviously experience will play a major key with the playmaking skill set and the jump shot. And I'm a real believer in Tyler Kolek, guys. I'm with no doubt that he'll be an NBA backup point guard. Not a starter, but a backup. A very, very solid backup in the league. And I think we just need to invest in that talent as well. But competition will be good. He is on a rookie contract that's, it's elapsing right now. We have to make a decision, at least after this year, whether or not he's going to be the permanent backup. But with Leon Rose's statement that, where our singular focus is on winning the championship, I get it. I get why they're going all in, with these veterans, right? Does look like Bradley Beal is going to end up on a contending team. I don't think it's going to be the Knicks. I think he might take some more money with another team. Also, we do have Damian Lillard, guys, still available. Looks like he's going to go to the Boston Celtics. I think he's one of the favorites to go out there, fam. From the same situation, same area as Jason Tatum. Fam. So, so is Bradley Beal from Missouri. What's up, Tendrell? Yeah, the bench looks tough, man. I think we had one more veteran and we're great. We're 10 deep. Whether it be Brogdon, Simmons, or Marcus Smart, I think that makes us 10 deep. Now, I'm going to bring up that list of free agents in a minute, and I will look at some more names. Joe S., shout out, agrees. Kolek should be the backup point guard for the second unit. He needs playing time and coaching. Yeah, you gotta buy into your talent and develop them as well, fam. So I think, yes, it's going to start with Summer League. We got a new coach, so it is going to depend on what he wants to do. But I understand that you can never have enough depth with the ball handling because look, last year, man, Campaign was struggling late, and DeLon Wright stepped in, and DeLon was great, during the postseason, and helped us out a lot. If we didn't have DeLon Wright, man, we would have been forced to have to play Campaign a lot more. So I think you can never have enough juice with the playmakers, but you got to have some kind of plan for a Tyler Kolek throughout the regular season. Like Joe says, agreed, Kolek should be the backup point. I think as we talk about some news coming through, who is going to join Mike Brown on the sidelines? What do y'all think about Darvin Ham or Phil Handy? Those are the two names that have been linked to joining Mike Brown on the sidelines and his staff. Darvin Ham, I think mixed mixed bag coming out of the Lakers camp. Obviously as the head coach, he struggled with the Lakers' expectations, but as an assistant, I think it'd be okay. I think Darvin Ham, any guy that we bring in that has had head coaching experience as an assistant, I think would have a lot to bring to the table. They are going to be the assistant, right? Mike Brown's he's the head coach, but I think Darvin Ham, Phil Handy would provide some more experience, and I do think there's going to be a lot more collaboration, guys. I think that's going to be key. You got to talk to your assistants, man. What's the point in having them on the sideline? If you ain't gonna, listen to their input, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing, more collaboration. So I think the Knicks front office have done well getting these guys, and look, you got to allow Mike Brown to get a couple of his guys, right? If we're giving him, Rick Brunson and Mark Bryant, Mo Cheeks, Darren Erman, and Jordan Brink, you got to allow Mike Brown to bring in some of his guys, man. You definitely got to give him that respect. Shout out Chop Low. What's good, Jason? Jason says, Kolek got to earn his spot under Brown. Yeah, this is the NBA, man. No boys allowed. It's a grown man's league. I just back Kolek to prove that he can contribute. But I mean, if you can get a Marcus Smart or a Brogdon, man, you can't pass up on that. Ben Simmons as well, included, man. I think you can't pass up on that. I think, Kolek still got to show us. He's still got to show us with minutes, just exactly what he can do. And I think that's really important, fam. So, just to recap, anyone that's just joining us, again, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. You've got the Knicks Streets buzzing, man. We've got the Knicks Streets family in the building. You guys are on fire, all off-season. And we're hyped for the Knicks to make their Summer League debut this weekend. Right? What made this all possible was obviously Yabusele taken slightly less so that we can add one more veteran now. Their cap hit will only be $2.2 million, regardless of their vet minimum salary and regardless of how many years of service. The cap hit remains the same. So for those that don't know, $2.296 million will count against the cap to keep the Knicks under the second apron. And also, we do have to sign, though, a younger rookie exception to stay under the second apron as the 14th guy, man. This is all courtesy of Yossi Goslan, who does a great job covering the cap sheet. Now, as I've told y'all, man, at the top of the show, man, an update is the expectation is Mohamed Diawara will stay in France and continue playing professionally over there with his club. And he's suggested that on his Instagram. But he's in New York. We are going to get a look at him in Summer League. So I'm looking forward to that. But it does look like that 14th spot is going to be between James Nagy, who's also eligible for the rookie contract, second round pick minimum, or it's going to be Kevin McCullough, who is eligible because he hasn't yet signed a rookie deal yet. He was on a two-way last season, and so he is still eligible to sign his standard second round pick rookie exception deal. So with that said, what do y'all think? My expectation is it's going to be Kevin McCullough based on his experience with the team, based on being there last season as well, familiar with the system. But things are fluid because Summer League hasn't played out yet. Mike Brown is now in the chair, and he might want to get a fresh look at everybody. They might like what James Nagy can bring to the main roster as well. With maybe the possibility of playing more big men. Maybe they do give it to Kevin McCullough though, because Yabusele's here now, and obviously he can play, some more major minutes that we didn't have last season as well. So, look, Yabusele taking less has made all of that possible. And with that said, let's take a look at some of these names that are still available, man, as the Knicks look to add one more veteran minimum to the squad. Yeah, Optimus 2G says Yabusele took 185K less in year one of his taxpayer mid-level. He didn't just do them a favor. The Knicks had to give up something, full control of the second year. Yep. That's fair as well. Like I said, yeah, to get that deal over the line, the Knicks had to give Yabusele the player option, but it's still well worth it, just to get him in the door. And like I said, the Knicks will have some extra cap space next season because Mitchell Robinson's money will come off the books. If Yabusele's, balling out, they could prioritize him. So anything is possible. The extensions of Mikal Bridges hasn't happened yet either as well. Now, with Beauchamp, things are still fluid. So the two ways can be changed at any moment. Two ways don't count against the cap, guys. So I see a lot of questions. Have the Knicks signed Beauchamp? What's up with Beauchamp? Anton Watson, right? Those guys were on the two-way spot last year. But every year you can change those two-way spots. You can shuffle them. You can let those guys walk. You can bring in new guys. So we don't know yet. The Knicks have given the qualifying offer to Kevin McCullough as a free agent to make sure that, he can't go anywhere, to make sure that another team can't come in and take him away. In regards to Beauchamp and Anton Watson, the Knicks haven't done any of that just yet. But the positive sign is that Marjon Beauchamp is going to be with us in Summer League, and so is Anton Watson. So, by my calculations, there's 3 two-way spots up for grabs for 4 players. I think 3 two-way guys for 3 two-way spots for 4 guys right now. If Diawara goes back to France, it's going to be between Nagy, Pate, Beauchamp, and Watson. Or McCullough and Nagy. Whoever gets the main roster spot, I expect the other guy to land on the two-way. Now, some of the names still available out here, fam. We've got Bones Highland. We got Campaign, right? There's still a portion of people that wouldn't mind seeing Campaign return, although I think that's unlikely. We've got CP3, unlikely to come to the Knicks, but he's still available. Corey Joseph, David Roddy, DeAnthony Melton, Elfrid Payton, Gary Payton II. We do have Kyle Lowry has returned to Philly. Landry Shamet, Lonnie Walker's still out there, and Malcolm Brogdon. Alec Burks, DeLon Wright, Doug McDermott. We have Javonte Green, Johnny Jazang, Lindy Waters III. We have PJ Tucker as well, who I don't think is going to return. And those are some of the guards still available. Seth Curry is still available as well. I'll tell you who I prefer in a second. Buzzer says, CT, which Knicks player are you looking to make the biggest leap this upcoming season? Biggest leap? I think it's definitely got to be Pacome Dardier. Fam, that's the guy I'm looking, to making the biggest leap. Fam, I think that his physical tools are outstanding. Has potential to be a two-way player right away. I think all he needs is the jump shot to become a little bit more consistent. Playing off ball, feel for the game, defensive tools are right there ready to contribute. And I think Mike Brown just could be looking at it like, hey man, we need another wing to eat up some minutes, fam. We need another wing to step in. And I do think that, he had his moments during last season in the G League. Don't forget, Tibbs started Pacome Dardier on opening night in Boston. So Tibbs liked what he saw from Pacome Dardier throughout training camp. He started him on opening night, but he just wasn't quite ready to solidify that spot. And I think another year now, I think he's strengthened, conditioning and physically, putting on a little bit more muscle, and he's still growing, man. Pacome Dardier is just turned 20, man, or is 19 turning 20, so he's still growing. He might grow out to be 6'9". Right now he's like 6'8" and change. But I think Pacome Dardier, man, if he continues to grow as well with length and his versatility, fam, that's my guy. I'm looking at the Knicks using the first round pick on him. So that's the Summer League squad. Johnny likes Johnny Jazang, man. Your namesake. I like him too, man. I like Johnny Jazang. It's a shame we don't have 2 spots available, but I think I'm gonna go more playmaking. But I like Jazang's 3-point shooting, man. He's a sniper out there. Salute D. Ross in the house. Yuri Ark, what's good, Russell? Salute to the chat. Smash that like button, guys. You've got the Nick Streets buzzing. As Optimus2G says, 2-ways are critical because they don't count against the cap. So you can change them every year, man. I mean, the Knicks had Matt Ryan, remember, on the 2-way. Then they kicked him out. Then they got someone else in. We had Moses Brown on a 2-way for a hot minute. Then we switched that up. We had Huck Porty on a 2-way, and then he, looked good, and so we made him a real spot. 2-ways you can change, man, any time. So I do think Beauchamp and Anton Watson are still competing for their spot, man. Nothing's locked in yet. Nothing's locked in terms of the 2-way guys. But definitely out of Najee or McCullough, one of those guys is going to get a main roster spot just to make the money work, via the financial cap situation, right? I mean, there's so many different ways we could go. We could go Landry Shamet still, DeLon Wright. We still got some love for former Knicks to return. I think there's some upgrades that can be had. That's just the way I'm looking at it, fam. I do think Marcus Smart, is at the top. Right, let me pull this up. Rival teams now monitoring the Marcus Smart situation, right? But it's going to come down to role, just how much we can promise him and how much he's looking for as well. No doubt he'll want to be in a winning situation. That's just the competitor that Marcus Smart is. He's been in Washington now. He's been passed around the league a little bit, after that shocking trade from Boston to Memphis. Things didn't work out in Memphis. He dealt with a crazy locker room with that situation and a lot of upheaval. And now he's kind of available to choose his destination if he gets bought out. Right now, he's on an expiring contract as well. So my 3 preferred options, man, I'll go Marcus Smart. I would go Malcolm Brogdon and Ben Simmons. 3 guys that have been deep postseason runs, championship caliber. Some of them, they offer different things. I think Marcus Smart. Well, all 3 of them offer, some defensive, principles. Ben Simmons can guard more positions, but is a little more suspect on the offensive side. Malcolm Brogdon probably the best out of the shooting and the playmaking aspect. But Marcus Smart, man, is just that dog that, could be the finishing touch on this roster, man, to win an NBA championship. You need those guys. You need those guys that are, and number one, they're great veterans in that locker room, but, experienced in terms of what they can bring on the court as well. Now, if Marcus Smart gets bought out, man, him alongside Jordan Clarkson, man, would be awesome. That would be awesome. So yeah, we'll talk about some bigs coming up. As Retire from Healthcare says, I want length. Go get Chris Boucher. If I'm looking at one of the bigs, yeah, I'm looking at a Chris Boucher as well. He can space it, can protect the hoop, untapped potential, possibly as well. And I do think that Chris Boucher would be a solid pickup. He's still available as well. But between James Nagy and Huck Porty and Yabusele, again, we're pretty stacked. Man, we're pretty stacked right now. I see one or two weaknesses, which is another playmaker and another experienced wing. But Boucher could be a guy that guards those positions. Yabusele, not a defensive guy, but Macomb Dardier and McCullough, I think, deserve a shot, man. I think it really starts this weekend, man. In my opinion, the season really starts this weekend because these young guys are going to have a say whether or not it's going to be on the court or the catalyst for the Knicks to get some more help, in a different position when it comes to that. Roberto asks, who gets most minutes Friday? Huck, Kolek, or Daddy? So let's just bring this up. As we know, the head coach of Summer League, fam, the good thing is it's a guy that's been around the team. Familiarity is really, really important, fam. And Jordan Brink is the guy that's going to be on that sideline, fam. And I think Tyler Kolek is the priority, fam. I think Tyler Kolek's a priority for the organization, whether it's be boosting his value, boosting his confidence, seeing what he has. The new coach is going to be there in Vegas, watching closely. And I'm liking the decision to bring in Jordan Brink, who, works with the point guards. You see him working with Derrick Rose out in Detroit before he joined the New York Knicks. And Jordan Brink is going to be with us and alongside Tyler Kolek. Here he was last season when Kolek was in Vegas. So we're running it back. So Roberto, yeah, I do think Kolek should play more than 30 minutes. Susan says DeLon Wright is gone in the trading block. He's a free agent right now. But yeah, I do think he would be a long shot to return. I do think they'd probably choose Landry over DeLon Wright if they are bringing back one of our older guys. If I'm putting my Mike Brown thinking cap on, who would I want for that last spot, Buzzer? I definitely want Marcus Smart. If I'm Mike Brown, fam, I think he'd get, a lot out of that situation. I mean, Malik Monk as a sixth man, Marcus Smart, former sixth man. I think some great correlation. And I think another locker room leader out there, fam. Don't forget, there's always going to be times in the season where shit hits the fan, especially in that locker room. You're going to have Mike Brown, who is a very hard-nosed coach, very disciplinary from a military background. And whilst I do think he's matured, he's not going to be like he used to be in Cleveland and, and losing the locker room and that kind of thing. I do think he needs to push these veterans still. And there could be moments where him and Hart, him and Cat could have some words. Having a guy like Marcus Smart in that locker room, man, is going to be a guy that keeps things together. He's a glue guy. Is Marcus Smart, man. He's that kind of guy that you want in your foxhole as well, so that's who I think. But yeah, I think second, I think Malcolm Brogdon. I think Mike Brown would be cool with Malcolm Brogdon as well. Now that I think about it, I don't know if Ben Simmons and Mike Brown, I don't think if those two are going to, mesh very well. Not to say that it won't, but if I'm just looking at, previous history, I think that, Ben Simmons, obviously with him and Doc Rivers, things didn't go too sweet with that situation. Jason says, can we afford Smart? Yeah, we can. Thank you to Yabusele for taking slightly less. We can add a full veterans minimum. It don't matter how old they are. We can sign any veteran to the minimum if they're available as a free agent buyout. Fam, E Harlem 3, welcome in. Great to have you with us. Did I talk about whether or not Shamet is still feasible to scoop up? Yes, we did, but we can hit on that again. So Landry is fully available. He's a free agent now. I've been doing a little research. Landry's from the West Coast, but he does love his time in New York. So I do think that Landry is still a candidate to come back, most definitely. I haven't heard any buzz whether or not, he's the favorite. I do think that the Knicks are looking for some more point guards, some playmaking. I do know that the Knicks were close to bringing in Dante Exum, the 6'6" point guard wing, but he chose Dallas because assurances. I think he felt a little bit more confident with playing time and familiarity with the coaching staff to return to Dallas. But the Knicks were interested in Dante Exum, but it just shows that the situation was fluid with the Knicks. With Clarkson, Deuce, and Kolek out here, and maybe the Knicks didn't have the Knicks didn't have their coach yet, so that could have been what determined Exum's decision. But now that we have our coach, I do think that these veterans who's going to come can make their decisions based off of that. Now, regards to what Landry brings, I think it will be a solid pick because Landry showed us that he could guard and he can shoot. Playmaking, we're not really going to get that out of Landry, but he can shoot off of movement, and he can definitely lock down. So we could definitely do a lot worse than bringing back Landry, if nothing for the vibes, for the vibes in that locker room and the experience, that he brings. Another name, I promise we're going to get to the bigs in a minute, but yeah, Chris Boucher is very high on my list as well. Yeah, Glenn. So I'm saying Marcus Smart, is he available? If so, do you really think we have a chance to sign him? Appreciate it, Glenn, man. Yeah, we definitely have a chance, but we have to wait for the buyout. He's not a free agent just yet, but things are trending in that direction. Things are trending with that direction with Washington right now. He's on a $21 million salary. Washington have quite a lot of veterans and a lot of minutes, a lot of logjam with the minutes available. They've got Bub Carrington, they've got Brogdon, they've got Smart as well. One of those guys is going to shake loose. I'm ultra confident, whether it be Brogdon or Marcus Smart. And if Marcus Smart becomes available, I do think that the New York Knicks will go all out. We'll go all out to bring him back, fam. We are going heavy for a point guard and to bring in another playmaker right now with that final spot, fam. And I do think we can sign Beauchamp or Kevin McCullough, or Naji to one of those final rookie spots, and then the veteran takes the 14th and final vet spot out here. Now, Seth Curry's a name. I think in regards to the shooting, Seth Curry is great at that. Not so much defense and not so much playmaking. So in regards to that, I do think we've got enough shot making, man, with Clarkson, Deuce, and we've got Kolek as well. I don't think, Seth Curry would be high on the Knicks board right now. We'll wait to see. Also, honorable shout out to Markelle Fultz, Lonnie Walker as well. Those are two names that I would consider bringing in ahead of your campaigns, Corey Josephs and those guys, fam, Elfrid Paytons. I would look at Lonnie Walker. I would look at Markelle Fultz. They do offer some size. They do offer, some better defense. We do have a lot of guys a little undersized, man. You got to balance it out. That's why Delon Wright was a good fit. Another name who I wouldn't be mad at. Because, Deuce McBride, 6'2", Clarkson, 6'3", Kolek, 6'2", Markel Fultz, 6'4", and Lonnie Walker's also 6'4" as well. And those guys got a little bit of wiggle. They can create a shot off the bounce. And they're athletic as well. That's another thing, guys. We need some athletes out here, as Kyle Lowry has decided to go back to Philly. So yeah, I never thought that the Knicks were gonna get in on Kyle Lowry. We have a breaking update that Shams reporting that Paolo Banchero has agreed to a 5-year deal, rookie extension, worth $287 million. Right, so shout out to Paolo for getting the rookie extension, man. 5 years, $287 million, man, as Orlando's starting to get more expensive. And the Knicks are in a great cap situation under the second apron right now, man. I mean, not only were these signings today great, guys, but financially, it's a home run, man. You're not going to get Yabusele, a talent like him, for less than $6 million generally, man. But the fact that Philadelphia was so stupid, the fact that Philadelphia have their own cap issues with, Quentin Grimes being a restricted free agent, they had to wait. They had to keep that money freed up for Quentin Grimes, and they prioritized him, and thankfully they did, because that means that Yabusele found his way to New York right now, and look, James Nagy is a possibility to get that rookie spot, and maybe that makes Chris Boucher not as necessary. So as we move on, guys, to some of the bigs that the Knicks could look at, or maybe another wing, right? As we have the New York Knicks official account now, welcome Mike Brown to the world's most famous, too. So it's great. It's a great feeling to have all of this official now. 3 huge acquisitions. And now we're just waiting on the assistants for Mike Brown, who's going to take that final vet minimum spot and the final regular roster spot for the rookie deal. And then also, Summer League coming up this weekend, and who can fight it out for the 2-ways. Buzzer like CP3, Brogdon, and then Smart. Yep, I could see that. I think CP3 can go anywhere, in LA. I think his family is in LA, and he wants to be close to them. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stays in Phoenix. Yep. Roberto says if Rose signs a point guard, we might even trade Kolek. Yeah, anything's possible. Leon Rose, man, his statement was singular focus is on winning that championship, right? Not to say developing Kolek and these rookies aren't important, but that's for down the road. Our singular focus is on bringing a championship to the Mecca right now, and the East is wide open, man. The Knicks could be, 11 months away from hoisting the Larry O'Brien, man. We could be 10 months away from being in the NBA Finals. We came within 6 games. We made some serious upgrades, and we are now second in betting favorites, right, to take out the trophy, man. And so we mean business right now, man. So, as you see here, man, for the third column, some of the bigs available on free agency, you see Anton Watson. Anton Watson is an unrestricted free agent right now. So some of y'all are wondering what's up with Marajon Beauchamp and what's up with Anton Watson. Well, those guys are unrestricted right now. Kevin McCullough is restricted, because we offered him a qualifying offer to make sure that no one else could take him away. So you got to follow the dots, ladies and gentlemen. Not to say that Beauchamp and Watson won't come back, but McCullough is the priority because we gave him a qualifying offer to make sure that he's going to stay in the green, in the second column. Kevin McCullough is staying, right? So my expectation is Kevin McCullough will get the final regular roster spot, and he'll sign a rookie minimum deal. That's my expectation. Out of him and Najee, those two are eligible, but Najee's just coming from overseas. You know, he's been a stash. Also, Diawara, we just got drafted. You know, he's going to be a stash. Kevin McCullough has been with us for 12 months now. I think they're going to prioritize him right now. But some of the wings available on the market, man, Chris Boucher can be signed with our vet minimum spot. Chuma Okeke. I expect Chuma Okeke to come into training camp. You can bring 20 bodies into training camp on an Exhibit 10, and then you can send them to Westchester if they don't make the squad. So I think we might see Chuma Okeke come into training camp, but he's not going to be on our Summer League squad. Bismack Biyombo, another big, available on the free agent market. Cam Reddish. Man, no Thibodeau here no more. So could that leave the door open for Cam Reddish, fam? Maybe Mike Brown is a fan of Cam Reddish. You never know, man. These new coaches come in. They've got different visions, different philosophies, you know. They have different guys that they like. Amir Coffey. I see another name, fam. As Jason V says, yeah, final roster spot will be a Brown guy. Yeah, he'll have some input. He'll definitely have some input. Wouldn't be surprised if it is someone that, yeah, he is close with, man. Biyombo, let's take a look next. Caleb Houston, man. Caleb Houston is a young piece worth taking a chance on. Dominic Barlow, I like him. He could play 3, he could play the 4. A 6'10" power forward wing, unrestricted out of Atlanta. We could take him away from Atlanta. I do like Dominic Barlow, fam. And that ain't just me talking, man. Let me bring up Keith Smith. Keith Smith does a great job covering the league for Spotrac. Keith Smith says some available under the radar free agents that I like: Amir Coffey, Trey Lyles, Jared Butler as well. I forgot to say his name. He's a good playmaking point guard. Was drafted, was highly touted coming out of college. Dominic Barlow and Johnny Jazang. In the right spots, I think all of these guys can help teams on affordable deals. So there you go, fam. Keith Smith agrees with some of my analysis. Dominic Barlow, he's a player that should be snapped up by somebody. I don't know why somebody hasn't snapped him up. Johnny Jazang would be a good fit elsewhere. But Trey Lyles could be a good fit. Guarding 3s, guarding 4s. Can stretch the floor out as well. Look, Butler and Coffey, we haven't really heard, many leaks yet in relation to those guys. Stanley, what's good? I'd take McCullough over Watson or Beauchamp. Yep, that's what the Knicks are thinking right now. Like I told you, top of the show, fam. We bring you updates where we have it, and I've reached out to some people as well. There's no official confirmation because people aren't going to give that right now, but the expectation is Mohamed Diawara will be back in France this season, continuing to play with his pro team in the French top division league, Cholet. And he just uploaded this on his Instagram less than 24 hours ago. Right now he's in New York, and he's going to be in Summer League, and we're going to get a good look at Mohamed Diawara. But the idea was that he was going to be a draft and stash. And so French reporter out here also suggesting Diawara will be back in France. And yeah, our guy right now looks like it's going to be Kevin McCullough. And he's going to be auditioning with James Nagy for one of those final spots. Fam. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we can go. If we look at the Summer League roster, it's it's full of guys that have been here for last season, and that experience is really going to help, man. Optimus says I made an error earlier. That was meant to be Shamit. I was meant to type, not Kolek. Okay, yeah, I feel you. Yeah, Shamit has connections in New York. Definitely loves the city. Would be very open to staying. Definitely open to staying. It's just the Knicks are just leveling up. It's no shade on Shamit. Definitely he did great, deserves a spot. But I think we are, moving up still. We're adding some more experienced guys. Creative Lou says Ben Simmons might come, or I wouldn't be surprised one of these kids from the Summer League could be signed that vet minimum spot. Yep. Kevin McCullough looks like it's going to be him. Bismack Biyombo could be a guy, Stanley, that we pick up maybe during the season, because the Knicks could add a 15th guy, maybe after the trade deadline. So look out for that. The good thing is the Knicks like to keep it at 14. During the season, you can add a 15th guy, just like we did with PJ. Things can happen, an injury can happen, buyouts after the trade deadline. The Knicks like to keep the powder dry after the trade deadline so that, we can add another veteran, man, on a buyout. Don't forget, buyouts happen after the trade deadline as well. So the Knicks are crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's, man. They're the best in the business when it comes to finances and flexibility. What's up, Michael? Yeah, OKC in the finals is all we got to worry about. I'm not, I'm not quite there yet. We're gotta see the season play out. Hopefully, we can stay healthy. But the East is definitely wide open, man. And you know what, man? Maybe our first goal should be to hang a banner, man. Win the Atlantic Division. Boston, obviously, we know they're not going to be the same. You got Philly, shouldn't be the same, man. You got the Raptors and you got the Brooklyn Nets, man. This is the year the New York Knicks should win the Atlantic Division. How about that? At least hang a banner right now and then move on to the next goal. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that play-in tournament as well, man. The Knicks have got close. The Knicks have got close twice with this play-in tournament, man. But we haven't quite made Vegas. We made the quarterfinals 2 years in a row, man. Maybe this year we make the semifinals of the play-in tournament, and we go to Vegas. Everything is still fluid, Buzzer, with Giannis. My prediction that he goes back to Milwaukee for this season, but trade deadline, next season things are going to be wide open. One of the key things to look out for in regards to the New York Knicks and Giannis, fam, is the draft picks, right? As of July 1st, 2026, next year, when July 1st hits, the New York Knicks will receive the rights to 2 new draft picks, first-round draft picks, that they can trade out. So if we just wait 1 more year, the Knicks will have 2 more first-round draft picks that we can trade. So while everyone was cussing out the situation with Mikal Bridges trade and trading away 5 first-round picks, if we keep the powder dry for 1 more year, the Knicks will have 2 more first-round picks in the future that they can trade, when a new calendar year comes through. Yeah, creative in terms of Bradley Beal. He's the biggest name out there. If Bradley Beal gets waived, he's the biggest name out there to get. But it's not trending in the Knicks' direction right now. It looks like it's somewhere else. And I think the Knicks have pressing needs. I think with some more playmaking. Fam. Yeah, Stanley. It makes a lot of sense for Muhammad Diawara. You know, we're quite stacked at the two-way spots. The fact that we drafted him late in the first round, I think the plan all along was for him to, he's still super young, play out in France, help his team over there, play professionally. It's still a good environment to continue developing, and he stays as that stash. But the fact that he comes over and plays summer league with us this season is important as well. So we are going to get a little bit of that, both of those situations. And I think Kevin McCullough is way more developed than Muhammad Diawara. I think some of y'all are going to be very surprised about Kevin McCullough. I think health is the only thing setting him back right now, guys. Felicia, great to see you. What's good? Did I miss it? Did they have an introductory press conference? Not yet. Not yet. No word on if and when a press conference is going to take place. I wouldn't be surprised if there is none. I hope that there is. I would love to see Mike Brown at a press conference, but there has been official statements, Felicia, made by Leon Rose and James Dolan. Official statements put out that we talked about earlier. I'm going to bring up on screen right now. So Leon Rose, they feel confident that Mike Brown is their guy, and James Dolan given it the seal of approval. Leon Rose says, "We're pleased to announce Mike as the head coach of the Knicks. Mike has coached on the biggest stages of our sport and brings championship pedigree to our organization. Right, his experience leading the bench during the NBA Finals, winning the 4 titles as a Golden State assistant, and his ability to grow and develop players will all help us win and to bring a championship to New York for our fans." So I think whilst it's, the usual spin, I think all of that is true. Mike Brown does bring that championship experience, with Golden State, under Popovich, coached Hall of Famers, Kobe, LeBron, but also, the understated fact is his ability to help grow and develop players, and I think I always look at a guy in the most, adverse situations. Look at Sacramento. He was able to overachieve. They didn't really have a great roster, in my opinion. Some good top end talent with De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Malik Monk, but out west to get them to the 2nd seed and win Coach of the Year unanimously. Mike Brown has proven he can get the best out of a tough situation, and so that's a bet worth taking. On a guy that can get, show some tough love and get more out of Malik Monk, Sabonis, and De'Aaron Fox. We can't even compare the situations because, Sabonis, Fox, and Malik Monk, with respect to their talents, they're not Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. And the talent is higher here. The talent is deeper. The consistency is there as well with the front office. More collaboration. Sacramento, things were a little unstable in regards to their ownership. And we have a tighter locker room as well, with good locker room guys. Josh Hart, they're not going to quit. They're not going to quit on the coach. All the ups and downs that they went through with Tibbs, with credit to these players, they never quit. They never quit on Tibbs. There was never any report saying that they quit on Tibbs, and they simply felt like a new voice, would benefit from coming in and being more prepared. But they never actually, all the reporting comes out that they never quit on Tibbs. They gave their feedback on what needs to be done better and things, need to be changed. But with Sacramento, they basically quit on Mike Brown. So I'm not worried that Mike Brown's going to lose any locker room here. With these veterans, they're locked in, and they know that they're ready to win that championship. Definitely. So that's my thoughts on that. I think with Mike Brown, I think it's a solid hire right now. Nothing but Knicks in the house. Salute. Great to see you. Great point. Win the Atlantic Division. Yeah, that's the only thing missing right now. We've raised the culture. We've raised winning now as a culture. Now we just need something to show for it. As the first step towards winning a championship. Hang that banner up, ladies and gentlemen, and that would be a great salute to the front office, a salute to Thibodeau for helping make those, making those good steps. Fam, and as Shay's signature says, the press conference will be on Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. So great to have you with us, and thank you for the update. Let me just see if I can scroll and see if there's anything out there. And there is, ladies and gentlemen. Shay coming in hot with the updates. I like it. Man, that Paolo extension is crazy. 287 million right now. That's what I was talking about with our team building right now. And I can't believe how many people are still critical of how to build this team, man. Right. I've given you the great, summary, so you don't have to watch it if you don't care or don't want to. But like I said, the Bill Simmons podcast yesterday that dropped with Ryan Russillo, where they dedicated the whole episode to the 5 bleakest, teams and situations in the East and West. If you listen to that, you only feel even better about the New York Knicks situation and where we came from, because there's a whole lot of teams stuck in purgatory right now and with no pathway to contend, no pathway to get better, stuck with bad contracts, paying the luxury tax and still not even competitive. And you look at the New York Knicks right now, the moves that we made not only have us in a winning situation and a position, but with some flexibility as well, which is so hard to get. And you need buy-in from your stars. It starts with Jalen Brunson, who decided to come here as a free agent and re-up with a discount to help both situations and give us that flexibility. The Knicks seizing that opportunity to turn Julius Randle's free agency into and not lose an asset and turn him into another All-NBA player, All-Star in Karl Anthony Towns. Both players have their flaws, but that was a great move to to continue with winning and getting in a player that's going to help you continue to win. And then obviously the OG trade for RJ and Quick, and turning their contracts into one of the best two-way wings in the league at $42 million, which is going to look even better as the contracts, the salary cap keeps going up. OG's 5-year deal, man, is going to look better as the years continue. And also capping it all off by getting Mikal Bridges with no players going out, just draft picks. That was the key. Yes, you had to overpay with the 5 first-round picks, but the key was you didn't give up any player. And so he was kind of like the player that you had to get in now before you go over the second apron. Because once you're over the second apron and the extensions and that kick in, it's very restrictive to making those kinds of moves. And Leon Rose knew that. So, confirmation from MSG, ladies and gentlemen. Lock in tomorrow, press conference at 2:30 p.m. Coverage begins on MSG as Mike Brown will be officially announced as the head coach. So that's cool, man. We are going to get the press conference. We all know Mike Brown loves a press conference, man. The New York Knicks will win another press conference. Buzzer says, Banchero's average contract is going to be $58 million per. That's not going to be considered excessive in a couple of years. Yeah, the cap is going up. But Paolo, he has to be a player that can prove that he can take them to that next level. They've actually regressed, in my opinion. Not to his fault, but, the talent around him as well. Optimist says, if McCullough balls out in Summer League, then look out. I think New York will wait to sign a vet until after the last Summer League game, July 21st. Yeah, it depends on, I guess, how big the name is. Like, if Marcus Smart gets bought out now, I think the Knicks will have to pounce. They won't be able to wait around with a guy like him. If Bradley Beal is a guy they want, they won't be able to wait around, fam, unfortunately. The 21st after Summer League is a little bit down the road, and that is going to take, a risk, I think, in waiting. Now, what they will wait on is the two-ways. They don't have to commit to any two-ways yet, or that rookie spot until after Summer League, because basically all of them can come into training camp on an Exhibit 10. McCullough has the qualifying offer as well. He can't go anywhere until the Knicks officially give him a deal. And they don't need to decide what deal they give McCullough yet until after training camp. That qualifying offer just keeps him with the squad. And basically everyone will come in on an Exhibit 10 training camp deal. And then after training camp, they got to make all the necessary cuts and submit the final roster to the NBA league office. So we do have a little bit of time with the two-ways and the rookie spot. But as for the veteran spot, we might have to act swift. We might have to act quickly on that one, fam. But one thing I'm feeling right now is the longer we go into free agency, the less likely now that there's going to be any major trade. I know some people are looking at, like, Mitch hasn't got an extension yet. Mikal doesn't have an extension yet. And what does that mean? I don't think it really means anything right now. I think both camps are comfortable. I mean, Mitch has been always vocal on social media that he ain't going nowhere. He appreciates being the longest tenured Knick. I'm sure they've had dialogue with the agent, and they're comfortable with where the situations are right now. Mitchell Robinson would be an unrestricted free agent after this upcoming season. So, I'm sure him and his agent will be comfortable betting on themselves if there's no extension agreement. If they can't, find the number that both parties are comfortable with, Mitch is a guy that's going to bet on himself, But if there is a nice number out there that's guaranteed money, I think with his injury history, I think he would be definitely open to getting locked down and taking that deal. We'll see what plays out. Maybe he starts the year really well, and come October, the Knicks can lock in that extension. With Mikal Bridges, I think it's even more likely Mikal Bridges gets that extension. I think there's kind of been that in the works for a minute since we traded for Mikal. Brunson took that deal to help the finances play out. Mikal Bridges can sign an extension this season, and the cap goes up, and the Knicks can stay below the second apron with a Mikal extension. The Knicks can still stay below the second apron with a Mikal extension, if provided Mitchell Robinson is not on the squad. So the Knicks will have decisions to make. They might be comfortable going over the second apron and re-signing both of them. But I just don't know if there's going to be a major trade happen. But having said that, look at last season, on the eve of Media Day, Leon Rose shocked the world and pulled off a blockbuster on the eve of media day. So, things can still happen. I guess free agency is still playing out. Other GMs are still calling other GMs and, still throwing ideas out there. But we're not too worried right now because we have our core, we have our core situation. Will I do another stream tomorrow after the Mike Brown interview? Absolutely. Let's talk about it, because it will be key to hear what Mike Brown says regarding. Well, before I go any further, I want to put it to you guys, man. You're in that crowd. You're in the you're in the media section tomorrow. What's the first question, or what question would you like to ask Mike Brown? Don't worry about me. What question would you ask Mike Brown tomorrow? In that press conference, man. What are you most fascinated to find out? Because Mike Brown likes to talk. You ask Mike Brown any question, man, he's going to go off on a rant. He's passionate. He's excited to be here, and I understand why, man. Like, if you don't get why Mike Brown was excited for this job, man, and why he was able to win the front office over, reports said he came in with the most precise presentation and was the most, well prepared for this job. And Mike Brown is, from a military background, very regimented, very experienced. I mean, I'm not surprised. He definitely, won the confidence of these guys, Like, with respect to Taylor Jenkins and Micah Norrie and, the skills that these young guys bring, right? They haven't been through what Mike Brown's been through, So I'm sure Mike Brown came in there, like, with a plan, as reports come out. You got to come in with a clear plan, and who's going to be on the squad, right? So, first question up. Shay says, what are your development plans for the young guys? Man, I like that. That'd be cool if that was the first question, man. I don't expect that to be the first question, but that's going to be your question. I expect Mike Brown would say something like this. I'd expect Mike Brown to say, you know what, development is key. Development is really important in an organization success. He's going to talk about, Sacramento. He'll talk about, his stops in Golden State. And then he'll probably talk a little bit about our guys. He'll talk about Summer League and being looking forward to seeing what these guys have. He'll be well aware that there's, at least four guys under contract that are draft picks. And then he might even talk about Deuce McBride and Mitch, being draft picks in the second round. He might even talk about those guys. So yeah, great question, Shay. Jason asks next up, how are you going to utilize Cat and Brunson? Absolutely, great question. I think this should be the first question coming through from anyone, man. And then the reporter might talk about the playoffs. They might talk about, Brunson and Cat had a lot of success individually, but they didn't have a lot of success together. How can you utilize Cat and Brunson together? It's all good for one of these guys to thrive when the other one's not out there. How are these guys going to thrive together? That could be the difference between making one more round. Buzzer beater up next. What are your goals for the Knicks this season? You got to start with the goals. That's a great question as well, man. And no doubt the reporter's going to say something like, "Welcome in, Mike. What are your goals for the organization this season? Is it championship or bust?" These reporters like to put stakes to the question, right? Is it going to be championship or bust, right? Mike Brown's an honest guy, man. I'm sure he will say something like, what, the front office, we share the same goals collectively. That's why I was brought in, and we believe we have what it takes to go all the way, and we'll be doing whatever's necessary, I think, to go all the way. But he won't mention championship. I don't think he'll. I don't know if he'll really go all the way out and say that. I don't know if he'll say the championship word. It does put a lot of pressure on that situation. Felicia Lee says, how would you go about improving our 3-point perimeter D? Another great question. So Mike Brown's been known for, defensive principles. Hasn't always had great defensive teams, unfortunately, in terms of personnel. But he was able to, tap into the offensive side at Sacramento with pace. Right now, I think Mike Brown's excited to coach some defensive players. OG, Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride. I think he'll really, back himself to make us a better defensive team because we have good defenders. I don't think he was afforded that luxury in Sacramento. So I think he'll talk about his versatility, using different schemes, maybe a 3-2 zone. He might play some trap, some blitz. He might also, look at lineup data. He might be more open to looking at certain lineup data and making sure that he has, 3 defenders on the floor with 2 offensive-minded guys as well. Now, Mike Brown, man, I can't stress this enough, and y'all are going to find out. He is super detail-oriented, man. He loves film sessions. He loves breaking it down and communicating to the players where they messed up. And he's not even afraid to mention players by name in press conferences. So with that said, one of the articles I read about Mike Brown teaching up Sacramento and De'Aaron Fox, he emphasized where they messed up, not fouling when the offensive player's back was to the basket, up 3, and they went over it in the huddle. They had 8 seconds in the play where the opponent was back to the basket for 8 seconds, up 3, and De'Aaron Fox didn't foul. He didn't carry out the message, and Mike Brown lost it. Mike Brown got frustrated, and he talked about that as a learning experience. So I think Mike Brown's attention to detail is going to be, he's going to be super, super paranoid about, the 3-point defense. I know Thibodeau, I'm not in that huddle. I'm sure Thibodeau stressed it enough, but, these guys, clearly the message didn't get through sometimes. So, I do think that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly under Mike Brown, man. The other thing he talked about was when Sacramento messed up, delivering the other message in the huddle, which was, to, not only not fouling when back was to the basket, but closing out on the 3-point line, and not giving up the 3, giving up the drive, With Tibbs, we got drop coverage sometimes, man. We're up 3, and we some of the players would play drop coverage, and that frustrated Mike Brown with Sacramento as well. So, Felicia, man, I hope of all things that we improve on is our 3-point defense. So, great question. Buzzer says, next up to Mike Brown, who are your starters? Man, we all love to know that right now, but I don't know if he's going to reveal who his starting 5 would be. But it's a question worth asking, I'm sure if Mark Berman was on the beat, he'd probably try to get that out of Mike Brown. But I'm sure Mike Brown would say something like, you know what, man, we're deep, we're versatile, it could be different starters. Or I want to get a look at training camp and make my decision after that. David says, hello, Mike Brown. Welcome to the Knicks. How are you going to get away from ISO ball with Brunson and make him and Cat play better D? All of the great things that the front office would have talked about in the interview process. How are you going to get away from ISO ball? I mean, that's up Mike Brown's wheelhouse, man. He's going to bring in some offensive coordinators. The talk is so. That maybe that's a great question y'all could ask Mike Brown. You know, have you got your staff set yet? You know, maybe we get an announcement that Darvin Ham is going to join, or Phil Handy. I think it is going to come down to coordinators in terms of offensive schemes, but Mike Brown will talk about movement. I think he'll talk about off-ball movement, the Princeton offense, fam. No more just standing around in the corners. You know, for the ball to move, the players have to move first. I think that's the domino, right? The ball doesn't move generally if the players aren't moving. If the players are just standing around, then the defenders can be in the passing lane. You know, the defenders can read what's happening, and then it promotes isolation ball even more, you know. And so I think we've got to get player movement going. You got to set good screens as well. You know, if Brunson can get off a good pick and get downhill, there's a chance that he'll move the basketball. If he can't get around a good screen, it's just going to be a lot more dribbles, you know, and you know, and the clock going down. Yeah, game one was crazy, right? Definitely. But it's in the past, you know, we move on, we learn from that opportunity. One solace that I took from that game one collapse was that Indiana are legit. You know, it was fluky, but they deserve to continue to go on. You know, they pushed OKC, you know, to the level that I didn't expect Indiana to push OKC, man. I thought it was going to be a gentleman's sweep. And to sit here thinking that Indiana could have won the championship in 7 games, you know, just shows how close the New York Knicks were. You know, that's playoff basketball, guys. You know, the bounce of the ball could be the difference. You know, and fortune favors the prepared mind. And that's where Mike Brown, I think, you know, with him stressing the details, you know, you can never be too over enthusiastic about details, man. Even if you need to drum it in over and over and over, you know, if it helps you win, that's what we need to do. Thibodeau, a bit more relaxed in his older age, you know, reading and reacting. Oh, the game will tell you what to do. You know, I don't think Thibodeau was as prepared late game situations, and the players have backed that up. Deuce McBride said that in the you know, post-game press conference. Also, reporting have come out that the Knicks didn't practice a lot. So if Mike Brown, if he is or isn't a better coach than Tibbs, I don't really care, as long as he's more prepared. You know, have a clear plan and tell the players, this is the plan, you know, and this is what you got to do, you know, and be more, you know, focused in practice and film session. Buzzer beater up next. To Mike Brown, describe your relationship with Dolan and Leon Rose. Great question, man. Great question. From what I know, Leon Rose and Mike Brown, have known each other a long time. Leon Rose had Mike Brown come in to his former high school as a guest speaker. So, and that was before Leon Rose was president of the Knicks. You know, back when Leon Rose was an agent. As for his relationship with Dolan and Wesley, I'm not too sure about that. Creative Lou says, what is your main philosophy for the Knicks? And what would be their identity? Another great question. Identity is great. I would ask Mike Brown, what did you think was what did you see was the Knicks' identity last season? And where do you think that could change? I have a feeling that things would change a little bit more with our offensive firepower and Mike Brown. And, you know, I think Tibbs was still trying to coach us as a defensive kind of team and wasn't tapping in to the offensive weapons, and then made some key adjustments too late in the season, with Mitchell Robinson coming through late in the season. Next up, David says, Mike, how are you going to keep guys accountable on D? Yep, another great question. I think everyone just needs to buy in, understand the goal, that we're here to win a championship. People have made a lot of sacrifices, and I think you can't win a championship without sacrifice. Whether that means being pulled late in the game, no bitching and moaning and whine, and groaning. It's a one for all and all for one. I think that should be the mantra for the Knicks, man. If I'm putting training camp messages up on the board, man, I'm one for all for one with this squad right now, man. If you're here, you're trying to win a championship. That's all we care about right now. Now, a couple of things, a couple of guys are in a contract year. That's the case. You can't avoid that. There's always going to be a couple of players in a contract year. They'll be playing for their future. I understand that. Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges, Yabusele has the player option, but he's a bench guy. So, I think he would have got certain guarantees of minutes and promises, but if he starts to really underperform, then he's going to lose minutes. That's just how it happens. Jordan Clarkson as well took a buyout to come to the Knicks to contend, but he knows what it's all about. These guys will know that it's championship or bust. Last season we came within 6 games. So I think that has to be the focus in training camp, man. Go all in and win that championship. Yeah, I think it's a championship level signing, Marcus Smart, on a buyout if that happens, David. Roberto says, can Marcus still run the point? Yeah, I still think he's got some juice left. I think he won't have all the pressure to play 25 minutes on the ball. I think with Clarkson and with Deuce. But I do think, Smart would have enough juice left in the tank to still run some of the point. James L. with a fair question here. Mike Brown's Kings struggle with a 3-point D. Why will it change in New York? I don't know if it's fully going to change, but improvement would be good. Under Tibbs, it was really bad. If it becomes less bad, then we see how good we can be offensively. That might be enough to counteract that. Also, that said, I think we could bring in some perimeter defenders if Marcus Smart is on the squad. Malcolm Brogdon, I think that would help a lot. Georgie Ortiz says, I would ask, what are your offensive and defensive schemes for this team currently put together? Yeah, that's a great one as well, fam. I think the versatility of the squad, you could play, really good defensive lineups, and you can go all out offense, and that's going to be up to the coach to decide during the opponent, the playoffs and the games, at what point do you switch it up? Just be more open to switching it up. The thing is with Tibbs is he just had such a preconceived rotation in his mind that he wasn't going to deviate. Let's say, Josh Hart had 5 turnovers at halftime and wasn't spacing the floor out. He would still come out in the third quarter, still play his regular minutes, and nothing would change. Nothing would change during the game. He might wait until the start of the next game. We can't do that now. We shouldn't do that under Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown will bench guys. He will change lineups during games. And I think you'll definitely see that. I've heard different things from different fans about what Mike Brown likes to do, man. He benched Keon Ellis, a fan favorite. If guys aren't pulling their weight on defense, I think he will bench some guys, he'll change it up. Especially with a guy like Macau, Cat, all of those things as well, fam. Yeah, look, Bradley Beal, talent-wise, makes sense, but we have quite a lot of scorers, so I would go more defensive, personally. Roberto says, hey, Mike, who's your starting five? Another great question, man. Mitch, obviously, Hart started most of last season, right? Is Mike Brown going to come in and have a rotation ready to go? Right, is he going to ruffle some feathers right now? He's got a 4-year deal now, guaranteed. It's his job now to get this team to win an NBA championship. And make no mistake, he's not going to... I don't think he's going to worry about egos right now. I think he would have asked the front office, Edwards, salute. I'm sure that he'll play a lot of Cat and Brunson together, man. He has to. They're the two leading stars on the team. James says, Mike, the Knicks have an open veteran spot. Are you involved in who they sign? Great question as well. And I would hope so, because the front office actually preached, we want collaboration. In return for that, the coach will want collaboration as well. Ultimately, it'll be the final say of the front office. But I think Mike Brown will definitely have some say. He could suggest some things like, hey, I think the roster's missing this, or, I think we could take a look at this guy, I do think a wing with size would be good. You could go so many different ways. The thing is, we could add some more shooting, like Landry, shooting and defense. I'm willing to hear you, man, on anyone that wants to see Landry Shamet back, because I would love to see Landry Shamet back. You could also go more ball handling. You could say, all right, Tyler Kolek, in theory it sounds good, but we don't know yet. We don't know yet. It's an unknown. The last thing you want to go into a championship or bust year with some kind of unknown. The other thing is, you could say size. Okay, we've got a couple of undersized guys in the backcourt. We've got a couple of turnstiles on defense. Let's beef up our wing stocks. OG Macau, I love y'all. Let's add another guy. I look at this guy on the free agent market. They might be looking at Delano Banton, might be looking at Cam Reddish, whoever. They might be looking at Chris Boucher. I'm willing to listen on any three of those arguments, man. Shooting, maybe another lights-out shooter that can play 3 and D. A defensive-minded guy on the perimeter, and another ball handler. Assist first, pass first, sort of playmaking guy that's going to juice the offense, fam. Because we could all say, we want the ball to move, we want less isolation, we want a free-flowing offense, but somebody has to make that happen. The ball just doesn't move itself. Assists don't, manufacture by themselves. You need a guy that's going to be able to read the defense, a guy that's going to be able to get guys moving. We know Deuce McBride can't do that. With his skill set, respect to him, he's a shooting guard. I think in a point guard's body. Clarkson is going to add some 4 assists to 2 turnover ratio. Can get to the line as well, but we all know that he loves isolation and thrives in isolation. So outside of Jalen Brunson and maybe Josh Hart, who else is going to add the playmaking? So I think that's why the Knicks are looking at these guards, fam. I think that might be the number one need, right? That might be the number one need. They looked at Dante Exum. He was close to coming. They're in discussions with Ben Simmons. No news yet on that. And they've talked about, man, who's the other guy? Ben Simmons, Dante Exum, and they've had conversations with another guy, man. And also, obviously, Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart are in discussions for a buyout. Russell Westbrook is the other guy, man. So Dante Exum, Russell Westbrook, and Ben Simmons, we've all had conversations with. So I think, it is trending towards us bringing in another point guard, fam. And if you just want to replace Campaign, I get it. You just replace him on the roster with another point guard. On that note, Creative Lou says, if we're going to go defensive, I will choose Ben Simmons. He's a big guard, and I question on his mentality and how much he loves the game. Definitely, man. I think there's so many ways to look at it. Ben Simmons played in New York City. I look at that. He played with Brooklyn. That was probably one of his lowest points, man. He was dealing with the back. We all know back issues can be debilitating, man, demoralizing and depressing when you just can't get your back right. Anyone who's dealt with back problems will know. But Ben Simmons, I think mentality-wise, I think he did okay to restore some of that reputation last season. He was on a winning team, with the Clippers, and they had title aspirations. So I think he's shown that he could be a contributor on a winning team still. I agree about the defense. The offense is a concern. Doesn't look at the basket, doesn't get to the foul line, doesn't want to get to the foul line. That's something you have to consider as well. So it's a vet minimum spot. Like it's low stakes, but you want to nail the acquisition. So I think I wouldn't be mad if it's Ben Simmons, but I do understand that it might not work out. It's a vet minimum spot. He would add defense, would add playmaking. How does that look in the playoffs? With a late game situation where they're going to hack a Simmons, the same way that they hack a Mitch. Is that a concern with a hacker Simmons? He's got mind games. He doesn't want to go to the foul line. I would lean towards Marcus Smart or Malcolm Brogdon, personally. Russell Westbrook, it would be a no. It would be a hard no for me, man. It'd be very similar to having another Josh Hart, I think, out there. So yeah, Tay, I'll be open to Ben Simmons, but no for Russ. Damn. The thing is with Simmons, for a vet minimum, he would add versatility. He could guard fives. He could guard fours. Very switchable. I think in the playoffs, the more guys you can have that can switch on defense is a great luxury to have, man. Think about Indiana. Everyone wants to talk about how versatile Indiana were offensively and their pace. I think an underrated element about Indiana was having, the growth of Nemhard, Neesmith, Siakam, Shepard. They had Benedict Mathurin. They had so many switchable guys, man. They can all just switch, and just keep you in front of them, man. That's big time, man. Richard says no to Simmons. Please stop. Shez V, no to Simmons as well. Yeah, polarizing guy, man. Definitely, man. Edward Santana, salute. CT, do you see the Knicks going after LeBron? Man, I think no. I don't see it happening, man. I've thought about it a lot. Maybe like a week ago, I thought it might be more possible, but I've thought about it recently a lot more as well, and I think it's more of a no right now. I think he's going to go to Cleveland if he leaves. Cleveland or Dallas. Fam. If you ask me a different question, like, do I see LeBron leaving LA? I do. I see LeBron leaving LA. I see that as a real possibility. I think there's real there's real, rumblings behind the scenes right now. Him and Luka they just don't gel right now. I think LeBron wants his money, but he wants to try to compete, and he also wants to be in a good situation. So I could see LeBron leaving LA, but I don't think he's going to come here, fam. It just doesn't make sense with the trades, Like, it'd have to be cat straight swap. That's one way it could work, and I just don't see the Knicks mortgaging the future. So many years of Cat in his prime for 1 or 2 years of LeBron, man. Don't forget, LeBron likes that 1 in 1 year. He likes to do it all again. So let's say you mortgage the future for LeBron. It'll be for 1 year. He'd be a free agent again. So I wouldn't want to do that, man. Another trade that could make it happen, it would be OG, Mikal Bridges, and Deuce. That's the only other way to make it work financially. So it's Cat, straight swap, or it's OG, Mikal, and Deuce to make it work. And that'd be a hell no. That'd be a hell no. So there's no way it's going to happen, man. Just forget about the LeBron situation for now. If he gets bought out, different story. Completely different story if LeBron gets a buyout, but not via a trade. Bring back Malachi Flynn. Man, I haven't heard that name in a minute. Richard. Russell Thomas says, I want Shamet's 3 and D. Yeah, that's a good shout, man. People forget, man. We had 4 months with no Landry Shamet. Dislocated his shoulder in preseason, man. In the final game of preseason, that was tough, man. Landry Shamet for 4 more months might mean, 4 or 5 more wins, and he might have even been better in the playoffs because he would have got a running head start, before the playoffs began. Landry Shamet's only 28, still, very in his prime. Can give you a little bit of dribbling, shooting, and defending. I just don't see them thinking as Landry as a priority though right now, based on reports. They looked at Exum, Russell Westbrook, and Simmons, and the fact that they've got Clarkson in here, maybe they feel a little bit better about the shooting and the scoring element that Landry brings. I don't know. Maybe they heard from Landry's agent saying that, look, we're going to wait it out. If we end up coming back, we're open to it. But Landry's agent might have told the Knicks, look, we're going to wait out a little bit to see if Landry can get more money. And maybe the Knicks just don't want to wait around. If they can find an upgrade, you ain't going to wait around for Landry Shamet, in free agency. Felicia says, no LeBron. He had a chance, no thanks. Yeah, look, I do feel like there's a lot of bad blood between LeBron and Knicks fans still. Don't forget, he loved to flirt with us, tried to make us look like fools. Also, the bottle flip game, Madison Square Garden, all of his antics and all of that, man. We can't forget about that. Now that we're good and we're great and heading towards a championship, now that he wants to flip it and try to come here, he can miss me with that. We can't forget about all those years where LeBron was, trying to make us look like fools. Same as KD, man. He had his chance. He took Brooklyn, man. You might use the excuse that Kyrie Irving, man, pulled his arm, but he had the choice, man. Now reports are KD was open to coming to the Knicks because we're contenders now. But all of these fools didn't want to come here earlier. Exum, man, going back to Dallas. So yeah, we talked to Exum in his camp. He was choosing between us, Dallas, and one other team. But I think he made the right decision, man. I think Exum had some assurances in Dallas because he's going to return to the same coach, J Kidd, knows what he can do, a bit more familiar with the situation, no state taxes. And he looked at the Knicks situation. It's like, man, you got Brunson, you got McCall, you got Deuce McBride, and y'all got Clarkson. If I'm Exum trying to parlay a vet minimum deal into a guarantee, it's safer to go back to Dallas than come to the Knicks, I think. But yeah, Exum would have added size, man. Size out on the perimeter. That's what I was looking at, Dante Exum, man. Less of a point guard, more of a wing defender at 6'6", man. And yeah, just to go back to the whole summer league thing, guys. Salute to the chat. We've got official confirmation. It's all been official right now. We're officially buzzing with Mike Brown talking tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. We'll stream tomorrow night, same time, and go through the latest quotes and questions. Hopefully some of y'all questions tonight will get asked of Mike Brown. But just going back to the Summer League roster made official right now is that Kevin McCullough is a guy I'm really looking at with intrigue, right? My guess and bet to show out is Pacome Dardier. I want to see him make the biggest leap this year, but I think the biggest surprise, the biggest unknown, will be Kevin McCullough Jr., man. You heard it here first. And he is the favorite to get one of the final 2 roster spots, being the young rookie minimum deal, right? Diawara is going to go back to France as a stash. James Nagy is fighting it out for one of the 2 ways or the final rookie spot. But I think it's going to be Kevin McCullough because the other 2 ways are unrestricted free agents right now. Kevin McCullough is made a restricted free agent. The Knicks prioritized him with a qualifying offer as well. And the fact that he hasn't inked a rookie deal yet will allow the New York Knicks to add Kevin McCullough to the roster, man, and fit under the second apron. And he's a defensive first guy, man. He's a 6'6" wing that can defend on the perimeter as well. He's excellent at navigating screens on the perimeter. He's excellent with his hands and getting, those strips, those steel strips and deflections. And I think he could be a guy that fills some of that void, man. If we don't bring back Landry, I see the vision and their vision if they want to, look at Kevin McCullough first and think that he might be able to fill that void, man, with a bit more size, Let's face it, it ain't like Landry Shamet shot volume threes, He might have put up 2 threes a game, 2 or 3 threes and hit one of them, man. But with his defense, Landry Shamet was very valuable. But I do think Kevin McCullough can come right in and be better than that, do the same thing or better on the perimeter wise, Kevin McCullough is 6'6", Landry 6'4", and also Kevin McCullough was a super senior with Kansas, man. Spent 5 years with Kansas. He's 24 years old as well. Basically, I mean, he's 1 year younger than R.J. Barrett, ladies and gentlemen, man. Kevin McCullough is like 1 or 2 years younger than Frank Ntilikina, so his experience, he's an older rookie. He's an older rookie. If you are trying to compete and contend, you bring in one of these guys, I think, to one of the final spots. I think Najee's still he's still a bit of a project. We'll see what that plays out. Diawara, the draft and stash. Dink Pate will be 2-way. The Knicks can't fit him into that slot. Beauchamp, not eligible to be on one of those rookie minimums because he's been on the league already. So it can't be him either. Right. And I'll be shocked if it's Marajon Beauchamp on one of the vet minimum spots. I'll be shocked. I think they're going to give that to someone, a bigger name. So yeah, all roads lead toward being Kevin McCullough Jr. What are your thoughts on that? Buzzabita says Shaman is not that sought after. You would have to pair him with other assets. John says, I hope Kevin can show everyone that he can play. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. And Comes with that pedigree, man. He was the best player on the #1 ranked Kansas team in the nation. 5 years in college as well. You know, he can play. Now, he's not a really offensively skilled player, but he can ball handle, he can play make a little bit, and he's just a great off-ball guy. Defends, smart, good IQ, gets, you know, like I said, gets those steals and deflections up, and he's excellent in transition. Excellent finishing in transition as well. He's got the little scoop layup package, can finish in contact, and can get to the foul line as well. He doesn't mind a little bit of contact. Does Kevin McCullough, you know? And I love what the Knicks are doing, because you drafted him, you know, you made 4 selections last year. Let's prioritize those guys, you know. Diawara was drafted this year as a stash for the future. He needs a little bit more development, and, you know, there's positive, you know, things to look at. But one of the 4 guys from last year, man, one of these guys has to really take a step. And we have to give them that chance, man. Otherwise, we just drafted 4 guys last year for no reason. You know, so I do think with Dardier, Kolek, McCullough, and definitely Hukporti, man, it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit at Summer League, filled around some couple of veterans. Marjan Beauchamp, Anton Watson. We got Udai Baba, Tokyo Drift, the 29-year-old guard out of Japan. We've got an indigenous Australian point guard, man, Bawali Bales. He's a blur, man. Y'all going to love watching him. He's a blur. He's a lightning quick point guard. He might be one to back up Kolek. Dink Pate is another guy that's a blur as well. He likes to get downhill. Jourdain, Nick Jourdain is a wing that I want to see as well. I mean, we're going to get to see Diawara too, man. Things are fluid. Diawara might ball out and shock everybody. I do think Ariel Hukporti and James Nagy, though, man, those 2 guys, you know, are going to be in with a shot to get real minutes this season, man. The Knicks might be playing more double big lineups. You know, we'll see. One thing about Mike Brown is he never really had the double big lineups, you know. He liked to play all offensive-minded guys. Sabonis at the 5. That could be something that Mike Brown really taps into more than the other guys, you know. What do y'all think about that? Ladies and gentlemen, it's been official. Summer League coach speaking tomorrow. Yabusele and Clarkson on the squad, taking their discounts to join the squad on vet minimum deals for Clarkson, and just below the taxpayer for Yabusele. And I look forward to chopping it up tomorrow night, everyone. Thank you for the building, for the chat, the comments, the questions. Replay squad, salute. Subscribe to the channel, as the roster will take shape very, very soon. Right, some intriguing names on the buyout market. Man, you've got to look at Marcus Smart, in my opinion. When you're trying to win a championship, that's a guy you look at. That could be the icing on the cake right now, but Summer League is going to be really, really important, man. Agree around LeBron. All of your comments and thoughts around LeBron. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him, man. Trying to still gain leverage. He's 41 years old, you know, trying to hold Lakers ransom. I think he should just go back to Cleveland, man. That'd be a perfect ending to LeBron's career. Finish in Cleveland, compete for more championships, you know. I'm sure that they can make a trade possible. Jarrett Allen's a piece that, you know, has been up and down. I'm sure the Lakers would love to add a Jarrett Allen as a big man, and LeBron could go back to Cleveland. So that's my thoughts on that situation, guys. My prediction, we will land one more point guard, a veteran point guard on the buyout market, or a veteran signing point guard, fam. Whether it be Brogdon, Simmons, or Smart. I don't think it's going to be Russ. But my prediction is we are going to land one more of these playmaking veterans to complete the squad. And we go from there, fam. We go for that championship and hopefully raise the banner this year. Hopefully 2 banners. Atlantic Division, NBA champions, maybe even the in-season tournament banner champion as well. It's all on the table. It's all on the line, man. Look forward to seeing what, Mike Brown says tomorrow. Now that he's official and the coach. So many questions he's going to get thrown at. Love to see how he handles the media. After firing Thibodeau, Mike Brown coming in, he's going to be under pressure from the beginning. But Summer League, he's going to get a good look at our young guys, and see where he goes to from there. So shout out to everyone. Peace. And let's talk tomorrow.